Lesson 79. In, within, on the other hand. The time now is 6 o'clock. If I went out of the room and said to you, I'll be back in an hour's time, it would mean that I'd be back at 7 o'clock. If, however, I went out of the room and said, I'll be back within an hour, it'd mean that I'd be back at any time between now and 7 o'clock. The time now is 6 o'clock. If I went out of the room and said, I'll be back in an hour, at what time would I return?
If you went out of the room and said, I'll be back in an hour, you'd return at 7 o'clock.
If, on the other hand, I went out of the room and said, I'll be back within an hour, at what time would I return?
If, on the other hand, you went out of the room and said, I'll be back within an hour, you'd return at any time between now and 7 o'clock.
Do you think there'll be another world war within the next 50 years?
Yes, I think there'll be another world war within the next 50 years. Or, no, I don't think there'll be another world war within the next 50 years.
Main, mainly, shopping. Which is the main shopping street in this town?
Rome Street is the main shopping street in this town.
Do you think that the difference between the people of one country and those of another is mainly a question of language, or do you think there are other more important differences?
I think the difference between the people of one country and those of another is mainly a question of language, or I think there are more important differences than that of language, such as differences in the way of living of the people.
Sing, sang, sung, at rest, bath, bathroom, in public. What's the paradigm of the verb to sing?
The paradigm of the verb to sing is sing, sang, sung.
Why are people so often in the habit of singing to themselves in the bath?
People are so often in the habit of singing to themselves in the bath, perhaps because they are alone and think that nobody can hear them, also because the water makes them feel completely at rest, whilst at the same time making them feel alive and awake. Also, perhaps one's voice sounds better in the bathroom.
If you sang in public, in the street for example, how much do you think you'd earn?
If I sang in public, in the street, for example, I think I'd earn nothing.
Have you ever sung in public?
Yes, I've sometimes sung in public. Or, no, I've never sung in public.
Profit, loss. If you bought a business for, shall we say, £400,000 and sold it again later for £100,000, would you be making a profit?
No. If I bought a business for £400,000 and sold it again later for £100,000, I wouldn't be making a profit, but I'd be making a loss.
How much would your loss be?
My loss would be £300,000.
Future perfect. I shall have studied. When do we use the past perfect? And give me an example.
We use the past perfect when there are two actions in the past, and one action is before the other. For example, I had studied English before I went to England.
When do we use the present perfect? And give me an example.
We use the present perfect when an action is finished, but the time is not finished. For example, I have studied English this week.
Now we have the future perfect tense, which, like the past perfect and present perfect tenses, is formed with the verb to have and a past participle. For example, past perfect, I had studied. Present perfect, I have studied. Future perfect, I shall have studied. We use the future perfect tense for an action that will be finished before a certain time in the future, or at a certain time in the future. For example, before 2 o'clock tomorrow, I shall have finished my lunch, or at 2 o'clock tomorrow, I shall have finished my lunch. How do we form the future perfect tense?
We form the future perfect tense with the verb to have and a past participle.
When do we use the future perfect tense?
We use the future perfect tense for an action that will be finished before a certain time in the future or at a certain time in the future.
Give me an example, please.
At this time tomorrow, I shall have already spoken to him.
Will you have had your dinner before this time tomorrow?
Yes, I'll have had my dinner before this time tomorrow. Or, no, I shan't have had my dinner before this time tomorrow.
Shall we have left this room in 3 hours' time?
Yes, we'll have left this room in 3 hours' time. Or, no, we shan't have left this room in 3 hours' time.
Will you have been home before I see you again next lesson?
Yes, I'll have been home before you see me again next lesson. Or, no, I shan't have been home before you see me again next lesson.
Will all the shops have shut by 9 o'clock this evening?
Yes, all the shops will have shut by 9 o'clock this evening. Or, no, not all the shops'll have shut by 9 o'clock this evening.
Minister, prime. What do some countries call the most important minister in the government?
Some countries call the most important minister in the government the Prime Minister.
What other kind of ministers have we?
The other kind of ministers we have are government ministers, such as Minister of Agriculture, Foreign Minister, etc., and also church ministers.
Guess. Are you usually able to guess a person's age?
Yes, I'm usually able to guess a person's age. Or, no, I'm not usually able to guess a person's age.
Coin. Have you got any coins in your pocket at the moment?
Yes, I've got some coins in my pocket at the moment. Or, no, I haven't got any coins in my pocket at the moment.
Knock. What am I doing?
You're knocking on the table.